अरहंत सिद्ध सुर उपाध्याय साधु सर्व अर्थ के प्रकाशी मांगलिक उपकारी है। तीनों को स्वरूप जानी रागते भई जो भक्ति काय को नमाए स्तुति को उच्चारी है। धन्य धन्य तुम्ही से काज सब आज भयो कर चोरी बारंबार वंदना हमारी है। मंगल कल्याण सुख ऐसो हम चाहते ओ मेरी ऐसी दशा जैसी तुम धारी है। ओ मेरी ऐसी दशा जैसी तुम धारी है। मोक्ष मार्गस्य नेतारं वेतारं कर्म बुभृतां ज्ञातारं विश्वतत्त्वानां वन्दे तद्गुणलब्धये वन्दे तद्गुणलब्धये। So we are on to the seventh chapter of Tattvat Sutra written by Acharya Uma Swami, and we are on to Sutra number 22, aphorism number 22, Sallekna. Sallekna is also called Samadhi Maran. It means voluntary, peaceful death through meditative restraint. Are you getting it? Voluntary on its own, peaceful death. So we can make out two things from here. That one thing is that the passions are reducing, and the other is that body is also gradually weakening. Okay, so it is called voluntary peaceful death through meditative restraint. Let's first read what is there in the textbook and then we go for the explanation. So Darshit ji, you only start reading.
Jai Jinendra.
Can you enlarge this screen a bit?
I'm just going to try that. It's made it worse, I think.
Yes, just scroll.
Just a second. Better?
Yeah, this was earlier also. So nothing, this is the best, I think, right? Let it be.
I think I can do it more. Just I'll try one more time. This is, I think, bigger now.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, better than the earlier one. Okay.
Salekana, Samadhi Maran. Following the discussion on vows, the text now turns to Salekna, voluntary peaceful death through meditative restraint. At the approach of death, one should willingly undertake the vow of Salekna, Samadhi Maran. The true meaning of Salekna is the proper attenuation of both the body, Kai, and the passions, Kasai. This careful and conscious weakening is what constitutes Salekna. Regarding this vow at the end of life, Acharya Samantabhadra writes in the Salekna chapter, the 6th chapter of Ratnakaran Shravakacha, when there is no possible remedy, be it in cases of unbearable affliction, upsarg, famine, durbiksh, old age, jar, or incurable disease, ruj, then for the protection of dharma, renouncing the body is known as salekna by the noble ones, Aryas. This is also called samadhi maran. The purport is as follows. If a distress arises where death is imminent and there remains no appropriate means of survival, or if famine occurs in such a way that a pure, sattvic way of living becomes impossible, or if old age has progressed to the point where it is no longer possible to live without causing harm, ahimsa, or if a disease arises that is no non-violent treatment available, then in such circumstances, in order to safeguard one's dharma, a virtuous person, one of wisdom, may relinquish the body in accordance with the scriptures and through prescribed methods. This is what is known as salekna or samadhi maran. Carry on?
Yeah, you carry on.
Okay. If there is a possibility of remedy during affliction, upsad, famine, durbiksh, old age, budhap, or a severe disease, then first and foremost one must attempt to seek remedy, pursue treatment, and explore available means. Only when no non-violent and safe method remains should one undertake samadhi as described in the Jinagma texts. At this point, the question may arise, is this not in a way a kind of suicide? Atma Hatya, suicide, is said to be an even greater sin than Parahatya, killing others. Answer. Salekna or Samadhi Maran is not Atma Hatya because suicide is committed in a state of intense emotional turmoil and strong passions. Tivra Kashai. In contrast, Salekna is practiced with deep reflection and equanimity by gradually reducing the passions and weakening the body mindfully, and that too only when no possibility of living righteously remains. As long as treatment or remedy is possible within the boundaries of our vows, there is no right to undertake salekna. Mental illnesses are called adi, physical illnesses are known as vyadi, and external disturbances are referred to as upadi. Going beyond these three and merging fully in the eternal and unchanging self, the Paramatma, the Nij Atma, is what constitutes samadhi. This samadhi itself is salekna. When the presence of death becomes unavoidable, to consciously and peacefully relinquish the life force under the guidance of a competent teacher and in a state of supreme equanimity is what is known as samadhi maran or salekna. The transformation of the body is inevitable. This is a universal truth. When one accepts this truth and becomes prepared to let go of the body before the body forcibly leaves us, that is true wisdom. The practical expression of this wisdom is called salekna, samadhi maran. This salekna vow at the end of life or samadhi maran must definitely be undertaken by both householders, shavaks, and renunciants, sadhus.
So you see the difference between suicide and peaceful death. Okay. So peaceful death is something that we do voluntarily by reducing the gradual reduction of passions and weakening of the body. Okay. At the same time, we can call it as mindful weakening of the body. Okay. We are doing it purposely. And the purpose is to maintain equanimity in all the situation leading to the death. In fact, the soul does not die. Okay. Only the body changes, So up to a certain age, we are going to stay in this body. Then we are going to get another body. So in Ratnakaran Savakachar, at one place it is mentioned that doing Sallekna is a occasion of rejoicing, Mrityu Mahotsav. Okay. And who can do a Samadhi Maran or Sallekna? Who can do a peaceful death? A person who has practiced his whole life uh, practicing the science of discrimination, and based on that has maintained equanimity. Okay. Has practiced to maintain equanimity in all the situation, is the only person who can have this kind of peaceful death where there are no worries, no thoughts coming, just enjoying the eternal bliss. So it is a stage where you are into meditative restraint. Okay. So on one hand, you are having gradually reducing your passions. On the other hand, you are gradually weakening your body mindfully. And the third part is that you are practicing equanimity. And this is called Salekna or Samadhi Maran or voluntary peaceful death. Okay. Whereas in suicide, what happens? In suicide, it's a state of intense emotional turmoil. Why? When a person decides to take a suicide, when the external situation is uncontrollable, is not able to manage, right? At that point of time, he is into intense emotional turmoil and strong passions, intense passions. Okay. In this state only, a person thought of committing a suicide. When the external situation is uncontrollable, is not able to give replies to persons. So at that point, if he thinks, we have seen many cases of suicides every day in the newspaper. You can see that somebody has committed suicide because he he was not able to cope up the pressure of exams, right? In this year in Kota, there have been around 30-40 deaths of students because of expectation, because of stress. They are not able to manage it, right? And then we have also seen farmers committing suicide. Why? Because they are into debt and they are not able to repay that debt. So the pressure from the money lender is always there, and they are not able to cope up that, so they commit suicide. Then we have, of course, infidelity, suicide due to infidelity, then suicide due to fraud, suicide due to bankruptcy, many other reasons are there. So in all these situations, the emotional turmoil that people are not able to manage, and in frustration, depression death is also very common, you know. So in that frustration, depression, they commit suicide and they feel that this will be the end of our worries, but it doesn't happen so. On the contrary, the worries increases in the next birth because the soul does not die. The journey continues in the next birth. And since you have lost an opportunity here, you got a human life, you got a chance to do your spiritual upliftment, you have got a chance to come out of this cycle of birth and death, and you have misused it. So, on the contrary, your worries, your problems increases many times, you know. So, it is not sensible to commit suicide in any situation, come what may. You have to learn to face it, right? You have to cultivate enough courage to manage those situations. But suicide is not a solution. So suicide is something different thing than what we are discussing here as Salekna. Okay. So first of all, the whole process. If a distress arises where death is imminent, no chance of survival, and there remains no appropriate means of survival, or if famine occurs in such a way that a pure sattvic way of living becomes impossible, or if old age has progressed to the point where it is no longer possible to live without causing harm, ahimsa, or if a disease arises that has no non-violent treatment. So violent treatments are available, but he doesn't want to do violent treatment. Okay. So no non-violent treatment are available. Then in such circumstances, in order to safeguard one's dharma, now to safeguard one's dharma, what does it mean? It means that whatever woes you have taken in your life, that you want to honor, that you want to observe. Okay? So, to safeguard those rituals or commitment that you have made in terms of vows, a virtuous person, okay, one of wisdom, may relinquish the body in accordance with the scriptures and through prescribed methods. This is what known as Sallekna or voluntary peaceful death. Okay. So you are put under an observation of a teacher, and his name is called the Niryapak. He takes care of your everything, what is to be done, what next, and he also simultaneously motivates you at every point of time, you know. So it's a special kind of people who are knowledgeable. They can only become a teacher if somebody wants to take a Salekna. So up till then, where there is a remedy possible, okay, then you must do it. But when it is not possible, then only you are supposed to take this Salekna. It is not that giving up and taking Salekna. Okay. It is about winning. It is about winning over death, you know. So there was very one good line. The second last paragraph. The transformation of the body is inevitable. Okay. So when your age gets over, the transformation of body is inevitable. Nobody can avoid it, right? Yes. This is a universal truth, unchangeable truth. Okay. When one accepts this truth and becomes prepared to let go of the body before the body forcibly leaves us, that is true wisdom. Okay. So becomes prepared to let go of the body before the body forcibly leaves us. So body forcibly leaving us means we still wanted to live and we are not able to live. And prepared to let go of the body means you are prepared to let go of the body. So one is with preparation and one is without preparation. Okay. So this is true wisdom. The practical expression of this wisdom is called Sallekna. This Sallekna vow at the end of life must definitely be undertaken by both householder and monks. Okay. So this is something every seeker looks forward to at the time of his death. There was one scholar, Jainism scholar, Professor Champat Rai. He went to UK and he stayed there for a long period of time. And then he came back to India and he said that there is no way you can have a Sallekna over there in UK. Because there are hospitals, they put you into hospitals, and even once you die, the funeral takes time. You have to take an appointment, and usually it is 3 days, 4 days, 5 days to get the funeral done. So in Sallekna, it is like that. He is totally prepared, and people also keep the wooden tree and all parts of wooden tree all ready, so that moment he dies, within 48 minutes you are able to perform the last rites and body is burnt out. Why? Because after 48 minutes infinite living beings keep on evolving in the dead body. Okay. So 48 minutes, within 48 minutes you should do this. So this is, if you are mentally prepared, then only you are able to do such things. And not only you are mentally prepared, your family members should also be mentally prepared so that they arrange all these things for you. Okay. So in my parents' case, in my father's case, we did it within 2 hours because one of my uncle, he took time in coming to this place, and that's why it took 2 hours. But otherwise, we were also prepared. And in my mother's case also, we did it same passion in the same manner. So you have to plan it out. And the main part is the one who has lived his life in the equanimity state will only be able to do this peaceful death. Okay.
Sir,
So,
I want to ask one question, sir.
yes,
So, if in case of accident, sir, this Salekna and Atmahatya both don't come.
both.
In case of accident, sir.
Hmm.
So even it's not an Atmahatya because it is an
No,
accident.
yes,
And even Salekna doesn't come because it's not, I mean, the body doesn't go with peace. I mean, it is
yes,
like,
yes, 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 yes. Accident is accident.
okay,
So your age is over and you have to leave the body, and it's not a sallekna, but it's an
okay,
accident.
okay.
Hmm.
So it will not come anywhere.
No, it will not come. It's an accidental death. Normal death, but accidental death. Sallekna is something. So as I said, that if you are preparing all the time for the practice of equanimity, not for the death. As a general life, in generally in life, you are practicing all the time discriminative science. Okay. So you are always in equanimity state, trying to be in equanimity state. That is what you are practicing. And while you undergo through an accident, and even if you die, you are still in the equanimity state. So in a it's kind of samadhi maran only, right? Because you have made it a way of your life, that
Okay, sir.
practice of equanimity. So that is what we can do. And those who practice this way, they can only do the sanlekhna. It is not that all your life you involved yourself in sensual pleasures, and while dying, when there is a terminally ill disease or something, the doctor has given up his hands, and people start reciting Namokar mantra, and all the people come and give lectures, sermons to them. So this is not samadhi maran. Even if somebody puts Namokar mantra in your ear also, then also it does not make sense, because whatever you have done your life, that is all going to come to your rescue at the end, right? So if you have not done this practice of science of discrimination, then in the end, even if you listen to Namokar mantra and get the death, still it will not be called a samadhi maran. But usually people associated samadhi maran with this kind of activity only, that while the death is approaching, people start chanting Namokar mantra and whatnot. But this is not the right way. A person who has lived his whole life practicing science of discrimination is eligible for samadhi maran. Even if he is dying in an ICU, he is still a samadhi maran. Okay. So it doesn't matter. What you have done your whole life is going to come when you are ending your life. Okay. So this is a broader meaning of Sallekna.
Sir, don't they say that Cheli Gadi Sudar Lo karke?
So
Cheli Gadi is the
that's a conventional statement. And as I said कि लौकिक में तो ऐसे ही लोग मानते हैं, but it is not so.
It's
बच्चों
not
Then,
को
so
sir,
because
बच्चों की भाषा में समझाते हैं, you know, कि जिसकी अंतम घड़ी सुधर गई उसका जीवन सुधर गया, but it is not so.
but sir, in one of the chapters, like last 48 minutes is very important. I mean, that will decide on the next birth.
Yeah, yeah. So that's why people generally recite Namokar mantra when somebody is on the deathbed. So believing that, but as I said, it's the whole life what you have done is going to
Okay,
come with you. It's
that
not,
makes sense. Yeah.
yeah, it's not that you have committed sins all your life, and while when there is something no chance of surviving, you get into this kind of act. It doesn't make much sense, but still we will accept it and we will also appreciate it. But the genuine way of doing Sallekna is you do it you make it this as a way of life, right? So then automatically samadhi will happen. Even if you are in an ICU, you will be into samadhi state because you have been practicing it quite long.
How, Jai Jinedraji, not related with this one, right? After death, how long will a soul takes to find a new body?
3 moments, 3 samay, maximum 3 samay.
Okay.
So samay is very, very minute,
Yeah.
So 3 samay, within 3 samay, it takes new body.
It won't wander and all, right? Within 3
No,
summers.
no. Within 3 moments, not even 1 second.
Okay.
It gets reincarnate in a new body.
Okay.
So basically, we should prepare to practice science of discrimination all the time. In whatever situation we face, we should realize the distinctness of the function of the soul and the body. 2 different entities simultaneously doing their own work in their own way. There is no connections between the two. And this is the practice that you should do it all the time. Okay. Okay. So now we discussed 12 woes. Okay. 5 minor woes and then 7 supplementary woes or ethical woes. Out of the 7 woes, that is called Shilvrat, 3 are Gunvrat. Gunvrat means supporting woes. And 4 are Shikshavrat, learning woes. So 4 plus 3, 7. And 5 Anuvrat, okay, minor woes. Okay. So this comes up to 12 woes of an householder. And then there are 2 things more. One is about the right belief and the other is Sallekna. So 12 plus 2, 14. Now each of these 14 woes will have 5 transgression. Now what is this transgression? Transgression is called atichar. Atichar means there are some violence in the woes you have taken. So this violence could be of 5 types. Okay. Now we are going to discuss this 14 into 5 each. 70 violations or 70 transgressions, okay, of each woe. So first in the sequence is Samyaktva. Samyaktva ke atichar. Transgression of right faith. Okay. So, Subhaji, you can read.
Jai Jinedraji. A transgression of right faith. Samyaktva ke atichar. After the discussion on Sallekna, that is Samadhi Marana, we now turn to the transgressions of Samyaktva, right faith, which are as follows. Samka, Kamsa, Vichkitsa, Anyadra, Stri Prasamsa, and Anyadra, Stri Samstavana. These 5 are the transgressions of Samyak Drishti or Samyak Dashna, right view or perception. A partial violation of any vow or even a minor fault in its observance is called atichara, transgression. Whereas complete breach of a vow or a major fault is called anachara, violation. Among faults, a one-time lapse is atichara, while repeated lapses are anachara. Here we discuss atichara.
So you skip all these things. We will directly read the explanation. Okay. So let's discuss first what is this transgression. A partial violation. You can see the definition here. A partial violation of any vow Okay. So there are 12 woes plus right belief and sallekna. So 14. A partial violation of any woe or even a minor fault in its observation is called transgression or atichar. Atichar means dosh. Okay. व्रतों में दोष आ जाते हैं. Okay. So there is a little bit of violence. Whereas the complete breach of a vow or a major fault is called anachar. So now your vows have broken. Okay. Earlier there was transgression, but vows have not been broken. Okay. You have a chance to manage yourself and continue the vow. But when you do that faults repeatedly, then it means you have broken the vows. Okay. So among faults, a one-time lapse is atichar, while repeated lapse are anachar. So there are 4 terminologies: atikram, vyatikram, atichar, anachar. These 4 things are there. If you have the white book with you, it is there on white book, this one, Hindi, Tatvat Sutra. I think everyone has got it. In page number 159, I suppose. So it is in page number 145. Okay. Atikram. What is this atikram? Atikram means overlapping. Okay. So when you have thoughts coming in your mind that I have taken a vow, but I should now, I'm not able to observe it, so I should let it go. Okay. So this is the thought you have got in mind. The next part is Vyatikram. Vyatikram is an advanced stage where you are consciously thinking of breaking the vow. Okay. Still nothing is lost, you are still an observer of woe. So this is the second step. The third step is the atichar, wherein exactly you indulge in that activity which you already have taken as a vow. Okay. But if it is one time, it is still your vows are not broken. Okay. You come back to your original, you manage the vows that you have taken, and it's a smooth running. Now, if it happens repeatedly, then your vows is broken. A very good example is given in some text I read that there was a sheep who was going to in the field. Okay. And there were fences made around the field, and there were some crops inside that fences. So that sheep thought of eating the crop. So first the thought came to his mind. So when the thought came to his mind, it was atikram. Only the thought has come. He has not proceeded to go ahead with the breaking of vow. Only the thought has come to his mind. So with that thought come in mind and it become very prominent, so he went near the fence. Okay. It's just on the edge of fence. The third, so it is called Vyatikram. Still the vow is not broken. Then the third step is transgression, where he actually tries to put his hand or leg inside the fence and try to take out some crops, So that is called transgression. And if it does repeatedly, then it becomes the breaking of vow. Okay. So this is the process. So this transgressions are mentioned because five types of transgressions are mentioned in the scriptures. Why it is mentioned? So that you become aware that this is a fault and one time it has happened, it is okay. But next time it should not happen, then your vow would be broken. Okay. So these 5 types of violations are given for each of the 14 vows. Okay. So starting with, we are discussing here right faith. So you understood the definition, a partial violation of any vow. It's a partial violation. Okay. Whereas the complete breach of a vow or a major fault is called anachar. Okay. So repeated lapses are anachar. So now we will be discussing the 5 transgression of right faith. Okay. So sutra number 24 to 29, and you skip the whole thing. You come to page number 280. Next. 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 Yes. Yes. There are, yeah. So there are 1 minute. Huh? So transgression of right faith, we have to read from there only. Then we will skip. Okay. So come back to again page number 278. Ah. Yes, yes, yes. Yeah. So right faith, we have to read from here only. So you continue reading.
Samka.
Hmm.
Doubt in the truth expounded by the Arhanta Bhagavan, or harboring uncertainty about the 7 fears, Sapta Bhaya, is the first transgression known as Samka. It is also said a soul with Samyak Drishti is free from doubt and therefore also fearless. Since such soul is liberated from the 7 fears, it remains undoubting. Kamska, the desire for pleasure of the 5 senses with a notion of happiness, is a second transgression called kamsa. Vichitsa, feeling disgusted upon seeing the unclean bodies of ascetics adorned with the Ratnatraya, 3 jewels of Jainism, is Vichitsa, the third transgression. Anyadrishti prasamsa, experiencing admiration in the mind upon seeing the knowledge, austerity, etc. of those with false belief. Mityadrishti is Anyadrishti prasamsa, the fourth transgression. Anyadrishti samstavana, to praise them verbally, is a fifth transgression called Anyadrishti samstavana.
Stop. So first one is doubt. Doubt or skepticism. Okay. Doubt in the truth expounded by the Aryan Bhagwan. So when a doubt arises, okay, it's a kind of transgression. Okay. So you have to immediately get into studies, get into discussion with your co-religionist, okay, and solve your doubt. If you have any doubt, you have to solve it. Okay. The second is the sensual desires. Okay. The desire for pleasures of the 5 senses with a notion of happiness. You believe that happiness is there. You are already a right believer, so you have already taken decisions on all these things. But still, those desire keeps on cropping up. Okay. So with a notion of happiness is the second transgression about sensual desires. So this may also happen to any right believer. So understanding this transgression will relax you that these things happen. There is nothing to worry. Your woe have not been broken. But if it happens repeatedly, then your woes are broken. Okay. Third one, disgust at the woeful. Okay. feeling disgusted upon seeing the unclean bodies of ascetics adorned with the Ratnatraya. So those ascetics who have already transformed the three jewels of Jainism and seeing their unclean bodies, if you feel disgusted, then again it's a transgression. Okay. So once in a while is okay, but if it happens repeatedly, your vows, there is a breach of vows. Okay. The fourth is praising in the mind. A person with false belief, okay, with uh, somebody who is in the other belief, not Jainism, but in other belief, okay. So seeing their austerity, seeing their knowledge, you admire in your mind. So that is again a transgression, okay. And to praise them verbally. So earlier it was in mind, now we are doing through speech, is again a transgression, okay. So these are the 5 kinds of transgression of right faith, okay. So these things happen, so that's why it is mentioned, okay. So if it comes in your life, then nothing to worry, your vows are not broken, you again come back to your original momentum, okay. You study more, you do discuss with your fellow co-religionists, you ask with your senior and get your doubts sorted and share your problem, so they will be able to help you in rebalancing everything, okay. Now we will discuss about the 12 vows. So first one is Ahinsanu Vrat, minor vows of non-violence, okay. Minor vow of non-violence, Sutra number 24 to 29. Now we are skipping it. Now we are coming to page number 280. Next page. Okay. Because all these are repetitions, the same names will be repeated here. So better we discuss it from here. Yeah. So there are 5 transgressions. Yes. Associated with each of the 5 anuvratas. Anuvratas means minor vows, and Mahavrat is major vows, right? Okay. So 5 anuvratas such as Ahinsanu Vrat, minor vow of non-violence, or it can be called small vow, okay? Small vow of non-violence. And the 7 Silvrat. Silvrat are called supplementary vows, or it is called ethical vows. Okay. So 5 plus 7 is 12. 12 vows of a householder. Now among the 7 Silvrats, there are 2 divisions. One is Gunvrat, which is called supporting vows. Those are 3 in kind. And the other is the learning vows, 4 learning vows. Okay. So 4 plus 3, 7, and 5 anuvrats, minor vow of minor vows. Okay. 5 minor vows. So now we will discuss transgression of each vow. First in the sequence is the 5 transgression of minor vow of non-violence. Okay. Ahinsanu Vrat. First one is binding. Okay. You can see in the bracket, last word of that bracket, it's written binding. So that would become as a heading. But here the headings are given of Hindi names. Okay. So bandh, tying living beings with rope, chain, or confining them in a cage is called the first transgression known as binding. So in earlier times, we used to keep animals at our house like cow, then goat, then some hen, birds, you know. So all this, tying them, living beings with rope, chain, confining them in a cage, this is the first type of transgression, and this is called binding. Because you are taking the independence of somebody else and you are making them dependent. Okay. So it's a kind of transgression. The second is vad. Vad means harming or killing. So beating with a stick, rod, whip, etc. is called second transgression, known as harming. The third is mutilation. Okay. So all these are mostly related to animals, because earlier we used to domesticate animals at our house only. So all these are related to that. The third is mutilation, cutting off suborgans like tail. So tail, always animal have a tail. Okay. Like tail, ears, nose, etc. is the third transgression called mutilation. The fourth, atit bhar ropan, overloading. Overloading. Loading workers or animals. Here it is for both. Loading workers or animals with weight beyond their capacity is the fourth transgression. Okay. The fifth one, deprivation of food and water, or withholding food and water. It's written in the bracket at the last, withholding food and water. Okay. Not providing timely and adequate food and drinks to servants, attendants, or animals and birds residing under one's shelter is the fifth transgression called withholding food and water. Okay. So these are the 5 transgression of minor woe of non-violence. Now the next verse, sutra number 26. The 5 transgression of minor woe of truth. Number 1, false teaching. Giving harmful or false instruction is the first transgression, not transmigration, but transgression. Okay, or violation is the first violation, known as mithya updesh, false teaching. The second, disclosure of privacy. Since it is related to truth, so all the transgression will be of this kind of only. Disclosure of privacy. Disclosing private sexual acts performed in seclusion by a man and a woman is the second transgression called disclosure of privacy. The third, the third is fraudulent documentation. Fraudulent documentation. Preparing a false document under someone's pressure in a manner that traps another person, okay, is known as third transgression, known as fraudulent documentation. Okay, so you are trapping another person. So this is the third transgression. The fourth one, it's not written here. You can write it down if you want. Misappropriation of entrusted items. In earlier times, people used to go out of country in a ship, and it used to take months to reach there and then do business over there and come back. So it used to take 3-4 months. And in those days, there were no securities, no flat system. So what people used to do, they used to keep their valuables with somebody to look after, with their acquaintances. Okay, so this is related to that. Misappropriation of entrusted items. The act of unlawfully appropriating a entrusted deposit. That is, if someone deposited an item for safekeeping, supposing someone kept 100 coins of gold, okay, but later due to forgetfulness asked for less than what was given. So while coming back, he would ask that, give me my 90 golden coins. And the person returns only that much, while dishonestly keeping the rest. So he knows that he has kept 100. Now, because of mistake, he has kept as 90. He's believing that he has kept 90. So he's asking for 90, and that person also gives them 90 only and dishonestly keeps the rest. Okay. So it is called the fourth transgression of misappropriation of entrusted items. Okay. Now the fifth one, disclosure of others' privacy. This is also not written. You can write it down. Disclosure of others' privacy. Now, what is this related to? Revealing a person's confidential matter by observing their appearance or by overhearing related conversation. This is known as the fifth transgression of Satyanu. Okay, and small minor vow of truth called disclosure of others' privacy. Okay, so these were 5 minor vow of truth. This transgression of 3 minor vow of truth. Now the 5 transgression of non-stealing minor vow. Okay, non-stealing minor vow. Number 1, promoting stealing. Okay, you write it down, promoting stealing. Instigating theft, causing someone to commit theft, or giving approval or applaud to the thief. This is the first transgression called promoting stealing. Okay, either you are directly doing it or you are getting it done from someone, or if somebody else is doing but you are still giving an approval or you are applauding it, then it is called a transgression. The second, dealing in stolen goods, purchasing stolen property. You know that this necklace is worth 1 lakh, but that fellow is ready to sell you at 70,000 because he has stolen it and he wants immediate money. So he sells you at 70,000. So a right believer a vow holder never purchases stolen property. And if he purchases, then it's a transgression. And if he repeatedly doing it, then he is breaking the vow of non-stealing. The third one, violation of lawful authority. Okay. Acting against the law of the state is termed as violation of lawful authority transgression. Okay. Now the fourth one, employing counterfeit weights and measures. Okay. Employing counterfeit weights and measures. So in earlier times and in present time also these things are available, that it is written as 1 kg on the weight. Okay. But actually it is 900 grams. So when you want to sell it, you will sell it with that weight. And when you are buying, you will buy with another weight. Okay. So that is this employing counterfeit weights and measures. So in a way you are giving less than what the price is being paid. So this is a kind of transgression. Keeping different measuring tools or weighing instruments for giving and taking. Using faulty or dual standards in measurement is the fourth transgression called employing counterfeit weight and measures. The fifth one, dealing in adulterated goods. Okay. So counterfeiting currency or mixing genuine and fake goods and selling them is the fifth transgression called dealing in adulterated goods. Okay. So all these are 5 minor vows of non-stealing. Now the 5 minor vows of celibacy or chastity. Okay. First one, arranging others' marriage. Okay, heading would be arranging others' marriage. A person who has taken the brahmacharya anuvrat, okay, minor vow of celibacy is responsible for conducting the marriage ceremonies of their own children or dependents. So, or their family members, he can do. However, they should not get entangled in arranging marriages of unrelated individuals, the one you are not related to. Okay, so they don't do this, and if you are doing it, then it's a transgression. Doing such constitutes a breach in their vow of brahmacharya and is recognized as the first transgression, okay, of minor vow of celibacy. Okay, so this was the first one. The second one, second and third are together. It is called association with women of questionable character. So there are two types of women. The first case is a unmarried woman, prostitute. Okay, and the second is a married woman. Okay, so the first one who has no husband or male partner, unmarried woman. Such a woman, it's written here Veshya. Veshya means prostitute, is called an unaffiliated courtesan. Okay, or it is called, the name of the transgression will be sexual transgression, sexual relation with a prostitute. The third one who has a husband or a male partner. Such a woman is called unchaste married woman. Now, sexual relation with that is called again a transgression. The fourth one. Okay, among these, so these two are further explained. Visiting the house of a unchaste married woman constitute the second transgression. Visiting the house of a prostitute or courtesan constitute the third transgression called sexual relation with a prostitute. Okay, so these are further explained. Now the fourth one, erotic play. The name of this is erotic play. Engaging in sexual play using parts of the body other than sexual organ is called erotic play, the fourth transgression. Now the fifth transgression, intense sensual obsession. An intense craving or obsession for sexual enjoyment is called the intense sensual obsession. So it is not only sexual enjoyment, but all kinds of enjoyment you can include in that. But since here we are discussing the woes of a celibacy. Okay, we are discussing the woes of a celibacy. So it is written as sexual enjoyment. Okay, so this is the fifth transgression. So if you are indulging in one of these occasionally, then it is still your vows are not broken, but you should be very aware that you don't indulge in such activities in the future. So all these are written because at some point of time people do have a lapse on these vows. Okay, so once in a while you can manage yourself, you can come back and observe the vow without any fault. Now the next is vow of limiting possession, parigrah pariman vrat, anuvrat. Okay, the 5 transgression of the vow of limiting possession is to exceed the limit of possessions. Okay, so you already decided that I will not have more than say 100 crores of rupees. So if it becomes 101, then it's again an exceeding the limit. Okay, so exceeding a limit once in a while is okay, but regular basis, then it's a break of vow. Okay, So exceeding the pre-decided limit of land and building is the first transgression called exceeding the limit of land and building. Okay. Kshetra Vastu Praman Atikram. Atikram means exceeding. Okay. The second one, sorry. Exceeding the prescribed limit of silver and gold. This is the second transgression. Okay. So when we have limited the external possessions, so we have set the limits that I will not have more than this much gold, more than this silver. And if you are exceeding that limit, then it's a transgression. Okay. The third one about grains and wealth, dhan dhanya. Okay. Exceeding the limit set for wealth and grains, including livestock. This is the third transgression called exceeding the limit of wealth and grains. The fourth, exceeding the limit regarding the number of male and female servants. This is the fourth transgression. Fifth, exceeding the limit of utensils, vessels and cloth. Okay, is the fifth transgression. Okay, so exceeding the limit of utensils, vessels and textiles such as cotton, wool and silk. This is the fifth transgression. So now moving on to the next transgression of three supporting woes. So five minor woes we have completed. Now among the seven ethical woes, out of 7 ethical woes, 3 are supporting woes, Gunvrat, and 4 are learning woes, Sikshavrat, that we are going to discuss. The first in the sequence, we will skip all this. No, the A1 that we will discuss right now only. A, Digvrat, okay. Limiting spatial movement, okay. So Digvrat, you have set the defined limit of 10 directions. You will not go beyond this, beyond that, right? That, okay. So in that Digvrata, how you are doing transgressions, that is being explained here. Violating boundaries related to spatial directions is called Atikram, which occurs in 3 forms, okay. So we are skipping these 3 names because it is being discussed in the 5 transgression of Digvrati. R, next page. The first one, transgressing the limit set on upward movement, okay, or elevation. So you have set the limits in all the 10 direction. So in the upper direction also you have set some limit, and if you go above that, then it's a transgression. Similarly, going deeper under the ground, going deeper than the prescribed depth limit is the second transgression. Ado Atikraman. The first one was Urdha Atikraman. And now Kshetra Vriddhi. Extending or enlarging the spatial limit in any of the 3 directions above is the fourth transgression. Okay. Extending or enlarging the spatial limit in any of the 3 directions above is the fourth transgression. Okay. So we have discussed the height, the depth, and moving beyond the set lateral, horizontal or diagonal. Okay, so with these 3 we have done. This is the fourth one. So above 3 and apart from above 3 is the fourth transgression. So extending or enlarging the spatial unit in any of the 3 directions above. Okay, so above 3, if you are extending, then this. The fifth one, forgetting the pre-remembered directional limit. with another is the fifth transgression. Okay. So you have already set a limit. Now you have forgotten it. So it's a transgression. It's a violation of your vows. Okay. If you do on repeating it, then it's a breach of vows. Okay. So this is one. Then the next two we are skipping. In the next page. Yes, here. In the Gunvrat called Deshvrat. Okay. These are the 5 transgressions. First one, Ananya. So Ananya is bringing in object from beyond the designated boundary is called Anyan. Okay. Which is the first transgression. Okay. So you have set the limit in the Gunvrat and now you are personally not going, but you are bringing in objects from beyond the designated boundary through someone else. Okay. So this is again a transgression of your vow. The second is presya prayog. That means sending someone beyond the boundary to perform a task. So earlier you sent someone to bring something. Now you are sending someone beyond the boundary to perform a task is the second transgression. The third one. Getting work done by sending one's voice, words beyond the boundary. So you are actually not going, but you are shouting from here, yelling from here, and by giving directions, you are getting the work done. Okay. So this is again a third transgression. The fourth one, getting work done by showing oneself, physically appearing beyond the boundary. Okay. So just by showing, by just giving some signs, by, as a person who does not talk and listen, they do something actions and they are able to communicate among themselves. So similarly, by doing some action, if you are getting the work done, then this is the fourth transgression. The fifth one, getting work done by throwing a physical object, stone or pebble, beyond the boundary is called the fifth transgression. So these are the 5 transgression of Digvrat. Now the second one. Digvrat means limitations regarding the boundaries. Now the next one is the Anartha Dandvrat. Okay. Anartha Dandvrat. So in Anartha Dandvrat, there are 5 transgressions. The first one is speaking indecent words humorously due to an excess of passion is called Kandarp. Let me see if the names are given. So you can give the name indulging in humorous and obscene gestures. You can give the heading if you want, but if it is not required because it is self-explanatory. Okay. Speaking indecent words humorously due to an excess of passions is called Kandarp. This is the first transgression. The second one, making inappropriate bodily gestures along with laughter and indecent speech is the second transgression. The third, Mokharya, engage in excessive and insolent argumentation, useless, is called the third transgression. The fourth one, acting with excessive involvement without due consideration is called the fourth transgression. Fifth, accumulating or adding more usage and consumption items than necessarily is called Upbhog Paribhog. Upbhog means one-time consumption Bhog is one-time consumption and upbhog is repeated consumption. Okay. So accumulating or adding more usage and consumption items than necessary. What you require, you are using more. So this is the fifth transgression. So these are the three supporting woes. Now 4 learning woes coming up. Our time is over. Okay. So this 4 learning woes. Okay, 4 learning woes we are going to discuss in the next class. Okay, tomorrow. That is tomorrow. 4 learning woes and 5 transgressions of each 4 learning woes that will take up tomorrow. So if you have any questions, I can take up easily. So because
one
of
question, sir.
yes,
Sir, they have written like we limit everything, north, south, east, west, all the 10.
right.
Nowadays, Squiggy and all those things are coming from outer kshetra. And
So
then, like,
so right
Squiggy
believer
and
won't do it,
video
no?
talking. Video talking. We are talking to you so
Yeah,
far
yeah,
off.
that is also, yeah. So you have to set limit according to your, like, some there are people who are not using mobile phone at all, very few, but there are still people over there. So then it all depends how you should take a woe. But jumping onto the woes is not something necessary. But first you practice the science of discrimination. And when your passions goes away, this kind of observance will automatically be honored. You will not break vows. So this is something that will happen automatically. So our focus should be on manifesting the purity, internal purity. And the next is then practicing the science of discrimination. So if you keep on practicing, all the woes will come automatically and you will find strength to observe those woes. Okay? Because this has been done in a systematical way. And not having the strength and observing woes, then you will not do it properly. You will break it somewhere or the other. Because the kind of internal purity that is required along with these woes is not there. So if it is not there, then the woes will also not be of correct nature. So it is all automatic. So we should never worry that how do we will become a monk. If I become a monk, if I go to jungle, there are wild animals, then what will happen? No, nothing. It's all very spontaneous, natural, without any stress. It's just the happiness that you are extracting from your soul. And doing that time and again, your level of passions goes down. And with level of passions going down, purity increasing, you will easily observe all these, whether it is a minor woe or a major woe, doesn't matter. You will be able to do everything. Okay. So don't take this all woes as something of bothersome. No, it's just an object of enjoying. Okay. Okay. Any other questions? So you have to read it again. There are new terminologies. But you should understand the essence of each woes and their transgression. And these transgressions are these transgressions are mentioned just to keep you relaxed, that if sometimes it happens, then it is still a transgression. Your woes are not broken. You become aware and don't repeat it next time. That's all. Okay. So acharyas have had everything in his mind. They were all psychologists and they knew that what a householder may undergo through. So sometimes there might be some laxity cropping up in our life. So we may breach these woes. Okay. But again, we have to come back to that and observe it as it is. Okay. Any other questions? Subhaji? Okay. Darshit ji, you are fine?
I have a question, but I think it'll take up a lot of time, so I'll probably message you directly.
No, just let me finish this and then we will take up.